All right, that's a pretty good one.
Cool.
All right,
First one.
we're off now.
So
tag
over to you. So
All
what
right.
was your number one, or I know it's further down the list, but what was your number one stuff up?
My number one stuff up is a broader topic, but it's rationalization, and I've got in brackets, I'll do it later. Now, I would really hope that other people resonate with this and it's not just me standing here with the embers, but I suspect that's not the case. So to provide a bit of context, I have, this little voice inside my head, and it chirps away all day and night, talking about God knows what. And I've found over the years that the less I choose to listen to that voice, and the more I err on the side of discipline and running it through filters of, I'll pause there for a sec, because it's like this. There's a difference between rational and rationalization and rationale. All three of those things mean very different things, but they link to the same source problem. And so, we want to be rational. We want to have sound rationale, but we don't want to be leveraging on rationalization, because rationalization has no limits. And I found that, here's a snapshot from my life. When I was transitioning from defense into the civilian space, that little voice was proving to not be my friend. And one of the reasons why I say that was it very rarely was observing things that were positive or productive or resourceful. It was constantly looking at nitpicking what I hadn't already done, which that time's already passed anyway.
Yeah.
It was looking to bring others down to my level when I wasn't operating on all cylinders. And it always gave me an acceptable internal excuse as to why I shouldn't do a thing or why it was someone else's fault. And I think in the last couple of years, there's been a big tipping point for me in terms of knowing that was the problem, and then kind of grabbing it and going, "Oi, shut up." Like, that little voice needs to shut up, because you're not actually helping anyone. I don't know. Have you got the same little voice, or am I like schizophrenic or something? I need treatment.
I mean, personally, I think I would say most likely everybody's at some point got a bit of that voice. I mean, take maybe it's not exactly the same. You let me know also my understanding of rationalization.
Run wild with it. Go crazy.
For me, like, my LinkedIn journey also like started a lot with like that little voice. I mean, that voice, was telling me, "Oh, you can't go on LinkedIn and write. You're in a corporate company which is professional. You can't be seen to be writing on LinkedIn." And then the same with video, like, "Oh no, you can't do video. If you do video, then like you're putting yourself out there too much, and you're maybe all these voices that I've got." And also in the let's say at my normal work, because I'm still quite young, I've had all these sort of rationalizations why a bit of imposter syndrome as well, why I'm not supposed to be in this role, or why I'm not yet capable because of my age or my experience or something like that. So I think we've all got it at certain times, maybe more, maybe less, but we've all got it. For the whole LinkedIn thing has been like a complete like challenge against that voice the whole
fighting it, aren't you?
Time. Yeah.
Well, we created a course called Combating Imposter Syndrome, and it has a very warlike theme to it. It doesn't pull punches, and the overarching premise behind that course is that it is a battle. You have to go toe to toe with yourself. You have to force yourself to a point of uncomfortability, and you need to hold yourself in that space via discipline for long enough that it starts to normalize. Now, as a really good example of what I mean by that, and to expand on it, think about it like this. So I was thinking about this one day when I was running, but I was thinking about a different analogy. Now, when you learn to drive, your learner plates, and you've got mum and dad in the car and all the kids, you've probably gone to the shops and all that. you don't have a lot of capacity to be thinking outside of what you're doing right now. You know, everything is
You're
conscious.
so focused. Yeah.
Right. It's conscious thought. Like you're burning conscious energy, which is really hard. Like, and you're thinking about risk, and you're thinking about how the car works, and you know, if ABC, you know, accelerator, brake, clutch, like you're trying to do all that, and
everything together.
Right. But if someone during that process suddenly went, you know, explain Pythagoras theorem to me, you'd have a bloody conniption. You'd have a meltdown, right? Because you're at capacity.
Yeah.
Over time, however, time on the tools, driving by yourself, you got your P plates, and then you go into your full license. After a while, you can do phone calls, you can be listening to podcasts, you can have chats, you can be doing planning sessions, like you do all sorts of shit while you're driving. And I think what that is that it's that transition from a conscious to a subconscious activity. And once you've got it in the subconscious bank, i.e. you held enough discipline, you knew that driving was important, you couldn't give up, you had to work your way through it, and you've normalized it. You've got it to a point that it's part of habit and routine now. Well, damn, now you can add some complexity to the top of it. Well, I think, you know, using your analogy of LinkedIn is a great example of that. At first, everything's a battle. You got to convince yourself, oh, this is my first video. Oh, I'm going to create our own content. I wonder how it'll land. And in my world, you know, and I know we've talked about this, these days I'm really trying to push the boundary right up to what's socially acceptable and normal to keep people on the back foot, and myself in a state of uncomfortability. So I really do have to force myself to learn new content in detail, because people will come from 40,000 people will come out of nowhere, and I'll be like, I'll be the shit bloke, right? But normally 99% of the time it's well received, or it's good debate, it's good questioning. And so going back to your original point, that little voice arguing about your content is very rarely accurately aligned with what's happening in reality.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's spot. I mean, spot. Yeah, exactly. Spot on.
Yeah. You know, I could think of 100 reasons why my content is crap, or I reread a post and I go, that's terrible. But thousands of other people would say differently, and that it was of value to them. And you go, well, and I can't seem to get a read on it sometimes. You know, you go, oh,
absolutely.
This is a great, this is like an epiphany for me. This is life changing.
And then it's like, why is nobody so interested in this? Yeah.
Right. And so
usually the posts that I think are gonna do like best, but it's because it's so personal for my learning. I'm like, what? Why is nobody interested in this?
But that's a value, because the way I look at that problem now is, after we've got ourselves over the rationalization speed hump, now we're looking at, why did this message not land? So why is it so valuable to me? Why is it so intuitive and so obvious to me? And why does no one else gel with it? And the only answer you're left with most of the time is you didn't say it right. Or you stuffed it. You bumbled the communication. You know, you chose the wrong mechanism. You did it at the wrong time. You didn't get your point across in the time, in the snapshots of, you know, visible representation of the post, and you stuffed it. But it doesn't mean the message doesn't have value. But it does mean you need to change your style to approach. That little rationalization thing in my head always goes, nah, it'll be right. You know, just don't change your methods. Like, it'll be fine the next time. Just keep doing it. It'll be right. Doesn't work. You got to change.